That leads me to the next question. You enlightened already?
When I was asked that, I usually can't answer that question because it breaks an important precept. However, I know loopholes. So instead, and also to make it more instructive, I said, when I was asked this question by monks in Sri Lanka, and it was recorded on their video, and they said, Ajahn Brahm, are you enlightened? And I said, so if you can tell me what is enlightened, is it the 5 khandhas, my body, is it my rupa khandha enlightened? Is that enlightened? Or is it my vedana, my feeling, is that enlightened? Or is it my perception? Or is it my sankharas? Or is it my consciousness? Which one consciousness is it? Which one of these is enlightened? If you can tell me which one of these is enlightened, then I've got something to base an answer on. In other words, there's nothing here. So what is there to be enlightened? You know, I wrote a book about mindfulness, bliss and beyond, and actually they thought that was a really cool answer. When I wrote a book, this was really great monks, forest monks in Sri Lanka. When I wrote a book about mindfulness, bliss and beyond, and you all know that I teach jhana meditation, I'm well known for promoting jhanas. So one day, people asked me, okay Ajahn Brahm, can you get jhanas? And if that even claim you've got a jhana, it's also against my monastic rules. 8th Pajitya, if you want to look at it. But that just saying, no, I can't answer that just was not good enough. So I used another loophole. I said to people, I've said this many times when they've asked me that question, I usually put my head down and said, I teach jhanas, but Ajahn Brahm can't enter jhana. I can't enter it. And a lot of people say, you hypocrite, you false-minded monk, you teach these things and you say you can't enter it. I say, yeah, I can't enter the jhanas. Ajahn Brahm has to disappear first, and then the jhanas happen. I can't do it. I have to disappear. And that's a powerful teaching. The path is, but no traveller on it is seen. Enlightenment is, but not the person who enters into it. That is why anybody says that I am enlightened. There's no person there. Who the heck is enlightened? You've disappeared, you've vanished. That's what's happened. Can you get into a jhana? If you try and take yourself in there, then you'll never be able to achieve that wonderful act of peace and disappearing. You don't do jhanas. Jhanas is what happens when you don't do anything and you vanish. This doing, this effort, this making things happen, that is what creates the sense of self and ego. I saw this as graffiti on the wall of the philosophy department in Cambridge University when I was there. It said, to do is to be, and that was René Descartes. To do is to be. And the next line was of a great French philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre, existential philosopher. He turned that backwards. Instead of to do is to be, he wrote, to be is to do. The great American philosopher. Doobie-doobie-doo, Frank Sinatra. Graffiti on the wall of the philosophy department at Cambridge, that was really cool, but it did make a point, the connection between doing and being. The more you do, control, work, strive, the more you exist, the stronger your sense of self and ego. That's why the people who really struggle hard forcefully have these huge egos, like a Donald Trump, like a boss at work. That's not the Buddhist path. So, when we don't do anything, when we let things be, your sense of self starts to vanish. You disappear. That is the fearsome part of meditation. You go way beyond your comfort zones. You just aren't there anymore. You don't exist. Your sense of self dissolves, and that is scary. You can't do anything. That is the path of deep meditation. Anybody who tries to get into deep meditation, Ajahn is making it happen. No, won't work. You have to let go and disappear. Your identity, put aside for a while. And then things happen easily. The path is, but no traveller on it is seen. So that's why. It's a great question, because that's an answer which understands how the problem people have with getting enlightened, because they want to get enlightened. They want to have enlightenment and be there and enjoy it at the same time. It's like some other certificate. There was certificates, attainments. Can I do this little story? I haven't said this so far. Someone told me this in Colombo, Sri Lanka. There was a group who were doing meditation courses with study as well, and giving certificates afterwards. They were very well educated, very knowledgeable, these group of lay people doing this, and after I think about 2 or 3 weeks course, they would actually assess you with your meditation experience and your knowledge of the Dharma, and they would decide whether you were a stream winner, once returner, non-returner, fully enlightened, 4 stages of enlightenment. They'd give you a certificate. It got very popular. And there was this old lady from the highlands of Sri Lanka, and she was a very good Buddhist, went to the temple, did all this sorts of stuff. She went to visit her relations in Colombo, and they said, what can we give our good relation, our old auntie from the poor pastors, what can we give her as a gift? Something she'd really appreciate. And they thought, we can sponsor her for this meditation course. It was very expensive. We can sponsor her. Would you like to go, auntie, to this course? And, oh yeah, I'll go. And so they paid all the money, very expensive. No way she could afford that by herself. So she went there, and after 3 or 4 weeks of studying the Dhamma and meditating, they gave her a little examination test afterwards, and they came up to her and said, Auntie, congratulations. You are a stream winner. They call her Soul One. Here's the certificate. And she looked up on her examiners and was really angry, scolding the examiners. She said, why are you so angry? You're a stream winner, the first stage of enlightenment. There's at most 7 more lives, and then you're fully enlightened. This is an amazing achievement. Why are you so unhappy for? And she looked at the examiner. You don't remember me, do you? No, auntie. I was here about 4 or 5 years ago, and you gave me anagami certificate. You've demoted me.
What's anagami?
Anagami is level 3.
Oh, okay.
It's like you've got a PhD, and now they give you a BA. And they got it totally wrong. And that organisation closed down soon after.
So I guess we meant that even lay people can be enlightened?
Of course. But if you become enlightened, fully enlightened, you have to disappear. You don't belong in this world. So, this is what it said in the suttas, that I put my hand, this works, this is true, I can understand why this works. If you become enlightened, fully enlightened, then you have to ordain within 7 days. Or your will to live will not be able to sustain this body and mind. You will pass away. You don't belong as a lay person. Either you become a monk or a nun, this is not a threat, this is just nature. Or you ordain. That's all there is. Now what sustains this human life? It's not just the four aharas, the four nutriments of physical food, of contact, it's basically experience. It's one of the reasons why if your loved one is in a coma, you have to keep touching them, talking to them, stroking them, because that sort of contact isn't the experience. That is what keeps them alive. If you don't talk to them, you don't touch them, the body dies. And the other one, I'm going to number 4, is consciousness. And the third one is will. Oh, will to live. Still got something to do. That's why sometimes people wait until their loved ones come from overseas before they die. They can keep themselves going through willpower. Or sometimes they just give up the will to live and they just die. It's a will, and if you become enlightened, that will is gone. That doesn't sustain this body and mind. You'll pass away.
Because of the time, I have to ask the last question. Where is the best place to study Buddhism in Hong Kong?
Well, if you want to study Buddhism in Hong Kong, you have to have a place with very good resources, with good teachers. And it's good actually to be able to learn what the Buddha actually said. And even learn some Pali or Sanskrit, because I learned Pali myself, and it was such a wonderful thing to learn. It's not that hard. I learned Latin at school, so it's a similar structure, and it just opened up this huge sort of deeper meaning. It's like the Buddha was actually speaking you direct instead of being translated. And it's fantastic to read all these teachings of the Buddha, and it's pretty authentic, that these are early teachings of the Buddha. So there's not many places you can do that in Hong Kong. And even every now and again get visiting teachers who can teach about meditation. So this Buddha-Dharma Center here in Hong Kong where we're sitting, it's a really good place. So, please, it's not that hard to do, and it's really worthwhile learning some Pali, learning some Sanskrit, learning our traditions. Because some monks, nuns or whatever, they teach such rubbish which has nothing to do with Buddhism. And people buy into it, and they follow it, and they get into so much trouble. And actually they're destroying Buddhism by not really understanding what it truly is. So because of that, it's great to have some good teachers and good education, and it helps and preserves the Dharma. So, Buddha-Dharma Center, this joint.
Thank you, Ajahn. Let's do the Ajahn Brahm way.
Okay, because one of the things to do that I used to go to many temples, and at the end they do sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It was so depressing. After all the energy and effort I gave into my talk, and sadhu, sadhu. So instead, you put some energy into this. People love it because they go away feeling uplifted. Kids, how many times do people complain that children don't come to the temples? There's no fun, there's no energy, there's no effort in there. So, 3 big sadhus, you can follow people who've done this before. Sadhu! Sadhu! Big one. Sadhu!
For people who don't know what sadhu means?
The English translation of sadhu, the best translation is awesome. You use the current translations. When you're translating, from things like Pali and Sanskrit, because the old translations sometimes are past their use by date. Language changes and modernizes. So sadhu. And sadhu, awesome. So you're saying like a talk was really sort of moving and just really was helpful. Awesome. So that's, you know, the latest translation. Maybe later on another translation will come up, but at the moment that's the best. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ajahn.